What dream did you give up on? Becoming Spider-Man. Being a productive member of society. I'm just gonna keep watching Netflix on my couch with my dog until he dies and then I die. Or whichever comes first. Going to the Olympics. I was completely on track for the achievement. When I was 19, I'd won gold in the 50 meter, 100 meters, and 200 meters freestyle and butterfly events in 4 consecutive national swimming championships and set a national record. The record I'd broken was mine. I used to train, swimming and conditioning, twice a day. Before my classes at 5 AM and after them at 7 PM for 3 hours each. After my second record, I decided to take a break for 1 or 2 months before trying to hit the next level, as the last time I'd had any rest was years before. My coach strongly advised against it. In hindsight, I really should have listened to him. See? At the time, I was going through a shitty period with my now ex-girlfriend. After the pretty brutal breakup, I started hanging out with old friends, which led to me drinking and smoking. I never went back to my training. It pains me to think of what could have been, especially knowing that it was no one's fault but mine. For reasons which I now know were stupid and unworthy. And NBSP. Edit. You people are lovely. Thanks a lot for the kind words, everyone. Traveling to every country in the world. I don't have enough money and there are countries I don't wanna visit. L. How about every continent? The only real obstacle is getting to Antarctica. And I'm sure there are options for that. That would be great. Just fly to Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, South America. And I've heard you can take a cruise to Antarctica from Argentina. Hope you can travel to every continent. 2. Close bracket. People seem to think I'm funny. When I was a kid, adults laughed at me a lot. At that time I thought to myself, hey, I'd make a great comedian, and often dreamed of making the world smile and laugh. So over the years I tested my laugh factor. Turns out that my shitty home life and drug addicted family members are comedy gold. Who would have thought such a traumatic upbringing would make such good comedy? I gave up on my dream once I realized how depressing it actually was that people laughed at my miserable childhood because they thought I was making stuff up for the lols. Getting married. I'm going to become the crazy aunt to my siblings' kids if they ever have any instead. Or I'll become a dog lady. Crazy aunt dog lady here. I am 46. Unmarried and childless. If my 25-year-old self knew this would be my fate, I honestly would have jumped in front of a train. You know what though? I am happier than I have ever been in my life. Every day my co-workers talk about the mountains of bullshit involved in raising kids, and every day I thank the gods that I don't have to deal with any of that. Had I managed to breed, I think I would have been so miserable. Raising kids takes every scrap of patience, every second of free time, every cent you earn. It is the hardest thing people do. My sister knocks it out of the park. I would be a horrible mother, and I think the universe knew that. Freedom is so precious to me. I love that I can do whatever whenever and not have to consult with another person. Few women in my age group have that luxury. Maybe I'm just a selfish bitch. I do have a BF. He's done the whole marriage divorce thing and not interested in marching down the aisle again anytime soon. We love each other deeply. There is something so freeing about not being in that pressure cooker world of a 20-something. External pressures can be fatal to relationships. His kids are grown. No one is nagging us to get hitched. We both value space and adequate alone time, and it is magical. You need to seriously ask yourself, do you really want kids, or do you want them because society tells you that you should? Rebuilding an old muscle car. Let alone not having the space to do it. Or the tools. Or the money. Or the car. Just a dream of mine to do so. I feel the same about owning a British car. No, not rebuilding one. I mean just keeping the damn thing on the road. If you see any British car with Lucas Electrics not using their turn signals, blame the wiring, not the driver. Retiring in my 40s. As it turns out, Those are the years life becomes most expensive if you have a family. It's not an easy time to stop working. Then the economy tanks. Next thing I know I'm pushing 60 with no end in sight. As an early 20-something year old who is super conscious about my future, this is exactly what scares me about the future. Not to mention I haven't even got my shit together yet. Due to 2 career failures that set me back majorly. I still have time, but man, time really is flying past. Professional gaming. I was really good at League of Legends, but every attempt team I got into to get into bigger leagues always failed out for some reason or another, or was never able to quite win the games we needed to. Ended up eventually tossing the idea, as I am 24 now and am getting too old for that kind of thing. I wanted a handful of friends such that we were all each other's closest friends, who made each other a priority in one another's lives so that we could see each other on a regular basis. Whether it was just 2 of us meeting up for coffee before work or something more adventurous with everyone and our families. Yikes, this one hit home. Everyone told me I would make all my lasting friendships in college. But it's my senior year and I haven't made any new friends since I started. Just grew apart from most of my existing friends along the way. Movie TV producer was the long-term goal. Just working in the industry was my main goal at the time. Majored in film. Did multiple unpaid internships. A handful of day gigs at various positions. And then I simply could not land a thing. I sent out more resumes than I can count and couldn't even get a call or email back. I spent over a year unemployed until I got a shitty job doing something completely unrelated. Freelance work proved unreliable and staff positions are like unicorns. Owning a home. I live in constant dread that I might lose my job and remain unemployable for years. Or if I buy a house it'll always be underwater. Or if I buy a cheap house somewhere it will turn into a bad neighborhood and lose its value. Here's the thing with houses. If you lose your job you can sell your house if you have a reasonably healthy real estate market. Yeah. You might lose some money, but if it's your dream to own a house, it's not as risky as you think, assuming you qualify from a financial perspective. Helping exploited children and digital forensics. When I was 19 I got blacklisted from every 3-letter agency because I failed a polygraph test that was needed to confirm my conditional internship offer with the CIA. Worst part? The lie detector picked up a false positive. I told the truth the whole time. There's a reason why lie detector tests are almost always not admissible in court. They're full of shit. Absolutely. Pretty sure the false positive false negative statistics repeatedly prove that it's slightly better than a coin toss. Astrophysics. Despite initially testing into it around age 12, I could never figure out pre-calc. And now my life is on a very different trajectory that I'm honestly quite happy with. It's just stars. Man. They're so f***ing beautiful and they just feel like home, and even though I know we couldn't achieve visiting one in my lifetime, I would have given damn near anything to be a cog in the wheel that got us there one day. I feel the same way about space and I have such a fascination for it. Honestly, I wish I could have been a pioneer for the next step in humanity's journey by being involved in anything space related. I'm a politics major and I'm so happy with my degree choice as I'm passionate about it, but I'll look up at the stars and sometimes wonder about what's out there for us. Being an engineer. I thought I wanted to be one since middle school. Got suspended my first year of engineering school for my grades. Realized I wasn't truly passionate for engineering and it was pushed on me by adults just cause I was good at math. I'm now in business school and I'm tremendously more happy. I used to think that I would always become an engineer of some sort because I was good at math and that's what was expected of me. I realized I didn't care during my 3rd year of university. Failed almost all of my classes and tried to kill myself. I dropped out and now I'm a cook making slightly more than minimum wage. It's weird being in charge of people the same age or older than me. And some of them used to be my classmates. Even though I had given up on something I had worked towards my entire life, I have never been happier than I am now. It wasn't really even my dream to begin with. Just something my parents expected of me. I felt horrible at first. But I found solace in a quote from RWBY. Your dreams have become my burden. I will find my own liberation. I'm glad you're happy now too. Becoming a movie director. Honestly, I'm glad I did. I own my own successful small business and have a much better quality of life than I would have. Have you considered hobby directing? I've been in films with budgets as low as $2K that went to film festivals. And it's a real blast. My friend wants to get into this. Could you give a few pointers as to where to get into doing it? Look for small co-ops around your city. There are lots of programs for getting small teams going on projects. Or just buy a cheap camera and start doing no budget films. All it takes is a story. Then there's for festivals. Film Freeway.com or whatever is where I look to submit. In 3rd grade, I wanted to be an archaeologist. Then I found out archaeology is nothing like Tomb Raider. So I changed my dream to World War II fighter pilot. I had Flight Simulator on PC with a wicked expensive joystick and my favorite plane was Page 51. And then I found out that World War II happened quite a while ago and my favorite plane was no longer in use. So I gave up on dreaming. I wanted to be an archaeologist as well. But right up until I was an adult. Did a post-grad degree in it and everything. Gave up on the dream because the money is dreadful. Finding a stable job in the field is difficult. And I am not interested in any local archaeology, so I'd have to spend a lot of time and money traveling to the place I'm interested in and doing stuff for free to get enough experience to get a low-paid job. I already had a job at that stage as a mid-level bureaucrat that paid me more and was infinitely more stable than being an archaeologist ever would be. So I gave up on the dream. I may not love my job now, but at least it gives me the ability to pursue my interests outside of it. Which is better than grinding away at a dream career until it's nothing but dust. Making a living with art. Forcing myself to be creative made it miserable. I decided it was better left as a hobby. Yeah. You should only go for a career in the arts if you can't not do it. It's an uphill battle that never ends. Only do it if you're one of those people who just has to create. I am one of those people. Not making makes me go stir crazy. However, the art industry is so soul crushing. I started making money and networking. But it destroyed me. The whole professional art world is a horrible environment. And I realize now I don't need the incro to validate me. Or to be financially successful to be happy. Fuck the art world. Getting a private pilot license. Even if I could justify the many thousands of dollars necessary to get one, I could never justify the many more thousands of dollars to enjoy one. Edit. Y'all are awesome and an inspiration. If I go broke, it'll be your fault. I took 10 hours of lessons when I was 14. I paid for them myself with my paper route money. When that dried up, so did my flying lessons. When I had the money again, I was not in a place that allowed for lessons because of different reasons. I gave up being a pilot 10 years ago. I stopped thinking about it and gave up like you. Then 2 months ago I heard a peer at work talking about flying. I realized that the roadblocks that were in the way for years are gone now. So here I am 2 months later and with 10 more hours under my belt. I'm finally making my dream come true almost 30 years later. Don't give up. You never know. Being a comic book artist. Realized that I wasn't as good at art as I thought I was. And while it's easy to romanticize the starving artist lifestyle, going hungry and barely paying rent in real life is actually quite nerve-wracking. Same. I wanted to be an artist. I was good at it. Went to school for it, which drained all love I had for it. Tried working as one after and I realized I hated the culture around galleries and everyone I knew in the business were working shitty odd jobs just to get by enough to continue their art. I loved art, but I just didn't fit in with that lifestyle. I sometimes like to imagine that rich snobby gallery artists are moonlighting as Tumblr furry porn illustrators to turn a livable wage. Having a dream. There are things that I want to do, but not something that absolutely thrills me. I used to wish I would wake up someday with absolute passion for something and a goal in life. I won't. And well, that's okay. I don't know what's more painful, frustrating. The dream of being passionate about something, or accepting the fact that I don't have any concrete passions or dreams to achieve. I still haven't accepted it yet. I keep telling myself every day that I can think my way out of it, but I just cannot for the life of me figure out what I'm passionate about. I used to know. But now I just don't even know myself, and I'm very not okay with it. Please tell me it's just a common thing for 20-somethings and a slump that most people get out of. I really wanted to be an animator when I was in grade high school. I loved drawing and making art in school. So I figured it was a destined career path. I gave up on it though during my last years of high school. I had some experience with animating during those years, and I just determined that it wasn't the path I wanted to go on anymore. Thankfully, I gained a footing in Photoshop, which started me towards my career as a graphic designer. Being a professional musician, I wanted to be one of those guys who played in an orchestra in a large city, went to college on a full ride, graduated with a performance degree, etc. A semester before I graduated, I had a sudden realization that I hated playing. It was no longer fun. The personal politics were infuriating. And I was tired of wasting so much of my time on a profession that would likely lead to nothing but struggle to support my future family. I finished my degree simply because I was so close to graduation, and shortly after started a career in finance. Now I'm a wealth manager at a big bank, and things couldn't be better. I gave the YouTube Let's Play thing a try. Also made a review video I'm fairly proud of for Naya. And it didn't really pan out. I could have stuck with it longer, to be sure. And I think I got pretty good at it by the end. But it started stressing me out more as time went on. Also, that particular market is super saturated at the moment. And discoverability is difficult as heck. At least I had some fun, though. Learned some things about GIMP and Sony Vegas along the way, too. I had anxiety as a kid, still do, and I was always terrified of the typical "what do you want to do when you grow up" answers. Firefighters ran into blazing homes. Police officers fought the bad guys. Astronauts went into the hostile environment of space. Whenever I got asked that, I just wanted to do something completely safe. First thought that came to my child mind was being a waitress. It was perfect. I didn't have to do anything dangerous or scary. But as I grew up, I gave up on that dream. I became a scientist instead. And now I have to live with the very real fear of cancer. Being dainty, thin, fragile, tiny, and super waif-like feminine. Audrey Hepburn-esque. Then I realized I was slipping into an eating disorder. And that I was far too athletic muscular to be as dainty as I would hope. So now I guess I'm just going to go for the thick look that I was actively avoiding. I just put on muscle too easily, and joining roller derby kind of forces the need to eat again. My booty looks better than ever now though. Becoming an actress. I've always loved to perform. And made it to several national level competitions in high school for monologues and duo performances. But I was just never brave enough to actually pursue it as a career. I chose the safety of working in law over the excitement of a career in performing. But it's not all bad. I have to remind myself that millions of people try to make it into the industry and nearly all of them fall short. So it's very easy to romanticize what could have been. When in all reality, it would probably look more like working in a coffee shop and always struggling to get by. Plus, all my years of performing made me an awesome public speaker and very confident in myself. So I certainly don't consider it to be wasted time. All of them. I just stopped dreaming in my 20s. Might be all the weed. This applies to both literal and figurative dreams. Your mid to late 20s is when all your dreams die and you realize as you approach your 30s that all you are now is all you'll ever be. Source. I'm 28. That just ain't true, fam. That just ain't true. Life is at the same time never so cruel or never so kind to leave you the hell alone. You could literally gouge out your eyeballs in a fit of rage right now. Spend 20 years meditating in the desert. And perhaps inspire a bunch of people to start a religion. Or maybe you could do something else that you actually want to do. Life has many avenues.